Hi, friends. Welcome to the Do Life podcast. I'm your host, Life Coach Layla, and today we're going to be talking about something that the majority of us struggle with, and that is time management. Whether you're a busy professional, a student trying to juggle multiple tasks and challenges, a busy parent, or just a human in general, mastering your time is essential. And here's the good news. With the right tools, mindset, and training, techniques, you can transform how you approach your day. So in today's episode, we'll explore cutting-edge tech, proven techniques, maybe even a little metaphysical insights to help you make the most of your time. So let's get into it. If you've watched any of my videos previously, you'll know I like to start with the science behind things. So why do we struggle with managing our time? One of the major culprits is procrastination. That word in and of itself is just so daunting for so many of us because I personally am very guilty of procrastination. And I get so frustrated with myself. Like, why am I like this? Why do I do this? I know I need to do the thing. Why can't I do the thing? I mean, even today, I know I needed to record a bunch of episodes today. I had this whole day scheduled from like 6 a.m. to like 5 p.m., all the things I was going to do, the order I was going to do them. And then I checked my emails for 2 hours, and then I returned some phone calls. And then, of course, I had to eat lunch. And then I decided I was going to change where I recorded because, that's such an easy task to move all of the equipment and everything from, one room to another room for zero reason whatsoever other than just procrastinating. Why? I don't know. And the only thing I can think of is, and I mentioned this on a previous episode, I'll link that below, but it talks about we are addicted to procrastination. It's a form of stress, and it actually gives us an adrenaline rush when we know we have a deadline. So we have all this time. Here I am rushing to make this video before I run out of daylight. It's 2:00, and in the Midwest, in the middle of January, it gets dark at like 4:30, and I'm supposed to be recording like 4 videos today. So why did I spend all of the time doing things that were completely irrelevant instead of what I had in my schedule to do? Stress. We're addicted to the stress. It's a simple answer for a lot of confusion. And knowing that is half the struggle. So now you know why you're doing what you're doing. I don't know if that makes it any better or worse because, again, all day today, I know in the back of my head, I'm like, do the thing. Why are we doing this thing and not the thing? And it's so frustrating because I know why we're doing it and it didn't help me not do it. So what are we supposed to do, Layla? Well, I'm glad you asked. So before I explain this to you in a little more detail, let me go over a few things. So most people know about your circadian rhythm, which is when you wake and you sleep and you get tired and your body produces melatonin and all the things. And that's why your cortisol levels are a whole thing. If you are not familiar with that, then definitely research my episode on sleep. I will also link that below. I know a lot of people are familiar with the circadian rhythm and what it is and what it does, but not a lot of people are familiar with your ultradian levels. Your ultradian levels dictate your energy levels throughout the day. So when I start my day at 6 a.m., it's because I know by about 5:30, I am done. Brain no worky. I just want to veg out. I want to be creative. I want to do mindless things. I don't want to think. I don't want to answer questions. Don't ask me what's for dinner. No, we're done. We're done using the brain for the day. I'm going to watch cartoons and do nothing. I might read. I might draw or paint, or I'm lying. I don't do any of those things, but you might want to do those things. What do I do in my free time? I watch YouTube videos and read and learn things. So I guess I don't know. I guess I can't say I don't want to use my brain, but I'm done like sharing my thoughts, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, so my energy levels are highest early to midday, and then in the evening they kind of drop down. So that's when I choose to do mindless tasks like reading emails and responding to things, or if I'm researching something so I'm a travel agent in addition to being a life coach and a podcast host and a mermaid and a voice actress. Yeah. So if you didn't know that, you do. So follow me on Facebook or Instagram at the Mermaid Division. Shameless plug, but it costs you $0 to use me as a travel agent. And I love to plan things for people so I can live vicariously through you and your vacation, especially because it's like snowy and icy here. And I have plenty of people like, my daughter's getting ready to go to Hawaii next month, and I can't wait to see all the pictures, and I'm so excited to help her plan all the things. Like, she's going to go snorkeling and see turtles. And anyway, see, I get really excited about traveling, even if I'm not the one traveling, even though I'm supposed to be in Dubai right now, but we're not going to get into that. That was not poor planning on my part. That was the universe decided I wasn't going to Dubai. So anyway, so I love planning travel, and that's a fun thing for me. So I will do that in the evening when my energy levels drip, because it doesn't really take a lot of energy or time or thought process to click buttons and check dates and prices and places and things. So be mindful of your ultradian rhythms and where your energy is when it dips down, and what activities you're planning for yourself around those times. If you have children, you can plan your day around your circadian or your ultradian rhythms, mostly because your children are on 10 at all times. I don't understand where they get their energy from. I think they take it from us when we give birth. That's my theory. There's no scientific proof behind that. That's just something that I noticed when I had a child who was little and bouncing off the walls, and I could barely stand for more than 5 minutes. I was like, what is happening? Anyway, I'm rambling a lot today, so this is fun. So if you have small children or you're a parent, you can plan, quiet time activities like drawing or coloring or painting or things for the children later in the evening when you don't have as much energy, and maybe go to the park during the day or do fun activities. It's snowing outside. It's the perfect snow to make a snowman or go sledding or do all the things. In the Midwest, we have this fun thing called wintry mix, where it's usually like freezing rain is the first level before we get some kind of sleet or snow or ice on top of it. So we have a sheet of ice on top of a blanket of snow that also has another sheet of ice on it. So if you want to go sledding, that stuff is amazing. I'm still rambling. Okay, so you get the idea, basically, is pay attention to your ultradian rhythms, where your energy is, and try to plan your day according to that. Okay, so we know that we procrastinate. We know that we struggle with managing our time because we're addicted to procrastination, whether it's the stress or the fear or whatever the reasoning is. So some of the things that we can do about it is learn about your ultradian rhythms, and when you have your most energy levels, you can also plan your time accordingly. I noticed that this was something, my calendar was booked full every day, all day. Again, 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m. This is the things that we're doing in this order. And I would try to stick to that as much as possible. And I got really frustrated because there wasn't enough time in the day to accomplish all the things that I wanted to do. So when I started looking into what are some better ways that I can manage my time more appropriately to get things done in a way that seems more efficient. And my favorite thing to do is task batching. And shout out to Clemens Struck of Cuvita and Mind Valley and all of Solvana and all the other things. He got really excited and passionate about this in a webinar or web class that we were on the other day, and gave so many tools and techniques, and is even given me a software to use called iTwin, which is amazing. Plug for my buddy. But anyway, he loves to task batch, and he helped me do it in a way that's so efficient. So what I would do is I have a list of all of, say, for just like the podcast. Okay, I have a bunch of different jobs, so each job has its own priority and scheduling and things. But so for the podcast, I have a little app in my phone whenever I come up with an idea or I see a trend in the conversations I'm having with my coaching clients, and I think this is something that multiple people would benefit from. I will put the note in my phone, idea for an episode. Like this one just says time management. There's one on growth and one on relationships and all the other things. So there's all these ideas in the app. And then what I'll do is I'll sit down and I will say, okay, so today I'm going to have a 2-hour block for just working on my podcast. So time blocking is different from task batching and also an integral tool. So we'll get into that in a minute too, because if you do one or the other or both, it's still going to help you in amazing ways. So I will time block like 2 hours is I'm just going to focus on my podcast. Otherwise, my day is like, oh, I'm going to check this email for this job. Oh, I'm going to respond to this email from this person. Oh, this guy wants me to look up this travel thing for him. Oh, and I need to email this coaching client about this, and I need to send this. And the whole day looks like that. At the end of the day, I've done a bunch of things, but I didn't get anything done, if that makes sense. So time blocking, I will say, okay, for 2 hours, I'm going to dedicate my time to something specific. And if I don't have anything specific to work on, I will say, okay, 2 hours for my podcast, and I'll just do random things for the podcast that needs to be done. But for the most part, I will task batch in that time block. So time block is saying, okay, I have 2 hours of heavy focus. Like, so I try to do my brain work in the mornings because I know that I'm sharper. You know, after lunch, I get a little brain fog, the coffee wears off, all the things. So I try to do things that require quick thinking, heavy brain power earlier in the day, because that's just that's how I work. That's how I operate. Everybody's different. You might be more keen, sharp afternoon. You might have your afternoon lunch and go for a walk, and then you're ready. You got all the brain power in the world. So however this works for you is ideal. But what I do is I do all my thinking things. So I will task batch in the morning. Okay, so 2 hours, I'm going to work on my podcast. What do I need to do on my podcast that's going to require brain power? And I'll go through my ideas of episodes. And I'll decide which ones resonate with me. Which ones am I feeling like, oh yeah, I'm excited about this. Like, I really wanted to do this episode. I've got 5 episodes to record today. This is the first one. And I'm like, this is the one that speaks to me the most. This is the one I feel I resonate with. This is the one that I've heard a lot. I've had multiple conversations with my coaching clients about the same topic. So let's do the episode on this. And then I'll pick a couple more because again, to set up and get everything ready and the lighting and all the stuff. And it's a lot. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do a bunch of it. So I pick this episode and then I'll pick 2 or 3 more episodes that I want to do. I usually try to do 3 to 5. More than that is too much, and less than that I feel like is a waste. There's been a few times where I'm just like, okay, I'm going to do 1 episode just because time constraints or whatever. But for the most part, I try to do an average of 3 to 5. And so I'll write down the 3 to 5 topics I want to talk about, and then I'll outline them. Okay, so this episode, my outline is, let's see, let me go to my computer. I can read it to you. So in my outline, I wanted to go the science, some techniques, some technology, maybe a little bit of metaphysical, some personal strategies, stories, takeaways, and then closing, a call to action, like, what are you going to do kind of thing. So I outline each episode, and then I script them. I write down what I want to say, what comes to my brain, like what I want to talk about per idea. And of course, I'm really bad at following that because, you know, my ADD brain is all over the place and I tell all these stories and just ramble on. But, you know, it's an idea. It helps me at least say what I want to say. I definitely say a lot of extra things that I probably don't need to, and I apologize for that. Or maybe I don't. I don't know. But the script I write, and it helps me kind of stay on target, or at least get the points across, because sometimes I will just keep going and going and going. So the script helps me like, okay, let's reel it back in. We're talking about tools and techniques and ways to do things. So I can kind of stay on target is really more or less what the script is for. So I will go through my ideas, then I write out all the outlines, then I go through all the scripts, and then I record all the videos. And it's going to take me more than, you know, the 2 hours would be to do the first 3 things and to figure out where I'm recording and doing all this stuff. The recording, it usually takes me about an hour to record each video, and then maybe about an hour to edit each video. So that's my task batching. So I would say, okay, so if I have 2 hours, I'm going to plan all of my episodes. And then once that's done, because that's my priority, then I can go through and I can follow up on emails. I can learn something, how to add B-rolls, or how to make my intro, outro better, you know, little things like that. So I task batch multiple things at a time. So when I'm doing something, because I know you've heard of being in the flow, right? When I'm doing something, when I'm writing the outlines, you get in that rhythm. you're using that part of your brain that needs to write the outline. So when you get that flow state, it's because you're using the same part of your brain for the same task over and over and over, and you can do that multiple times. Whereas if I'm switching from planning to outline to script to record, you're using different parts of your brain for each thing, and you're not as efficient. I don't know how to better explain that, but when you're not going to get in the flow when you're doing one to one to one to one, because you're switching tasks and you're switching the parts of your brain. Or if you're just honed in on one task and doing multiple versions of that task, you're going to get in the flow state. It's going to be, like I'll sit down to write an outline, and next thing you know, 20 minutes have passed and I've done 4 or 5. And I'm like, oh, that seemed like it took 2 minutes. So it's just kind of crazy. So that's task batching, is doing when you have multiple things. So if I have to make multiple quotes for travel agent stuff, I will sit down and say, okay, this person wants to go here, this person wants to go here, this person wants to go here. I'm going to run all their quotes and do that, as opposed to, okay, my 2 hours for my travel agent, I'm going to check my emails, I'm going to respond to emails, I'm going to write this person's quote, send her an email, and then check another email, and then sign up for this webinar. That's too much work. We don't need to do all that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do my emails. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to read all my emails, and I'm going to respond to whatever emails I need to. Then I'm going to sit down and I'm going to plan everybody's vacations and then send them the vacations after. So like I plan 4 people's vacations, and then I will email 4 people their vacations, if that makes sense. So I'm doing the task in batches, all within the dedicated time block, which is different. So I hope I've explained this in a way that makes sense. Again, if you can just time block, like that's where I started. Before I learned task batching, I was time blocking. So it gets confusing when you're running multiple things. And as a parent, as a wife, as a spouse, as a mother, as a husband, as a boss, as a manager, or, whatever your situation is, you probably have a lot more tasks than you realize. And you just spend all day doing everything. And I remember for the longest time, my life was just chaos. Like I had my daughter, my 2 stepchildren, and my 2 nephews. And we were just nonstop go, go, go all the time. And I'm like, I look back at that time and I'm like, I don't know how I survived. I don't know what I was doing. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a goals. I didn't have a structures. I'm a Virgo. I really need lists. I hardly had any lists. And I just, he just did it, and you're on autopilot, and there's nothing wrong with that. It worked for the longest time. We accomplished everything we needed to do, but it just felt like chaos, where now I have, multiple careers and projects, and everything could get away from me in a hurry if I didn't have some sort of structure in place. So when I first started my time management, instead of just having a busy calendar, doing all the things that I felt was important and needed to do, and then was running out of time for other things that I wanted to do, it was easier for me to say, okay, I'm going to dedicate 3 hours to this job, 2 hours to this job, and an hour to this, and then, whatever time I have left is whatever else I see fit. And that worked for a while. That helped keep me on target, so I wasn't just doing all the things all the time. And so time blocking, at the very least, is super helpful. And then when you get used to time blocking, so do that for a few days or weeks or whatever until you get used to having that structure and system in place, and then try to incorporate the task batching, or incorporate task batching and not time blocking. Like you do you. However this is going to work for you. These are just the tools and techniques that I use that really, really worked and helped me change so much about my productivity and how much I get done. So I just wanted to kind of share that with you. And then the next thing I want to get into, so we covered some tools and techniques, but I'm a big proponent of knowing where you are before you put a plan in place of where you want to go. The GPS needs to know where you are before it can tell you how to get to where you want to go. And I feel like that just resonates with so many things. I use that example in a lot of stuff. So when you want to make a plan and prioritize your time and figure out what you want to spend your time on, you should probably do some reflecting and look at what you currently spend your time on. So we all know what we want to do, but we don't know why that's not what we're doing. And the reasoning for that is we don't know what we're doing instead. So I want you to sit and take an honest look at your day. The average person spends over 2 hours a day on their phone each week. That's 15 hours in a week. 15 hours of just mindless scrolling on TikTok or Instagram Reels or Facebook or YouTube or whatever. 15 hours. Think of what you could do in 15 hours. That's a part-time job. That's a class. That's a certificate. That's something that you could accomplish. You could spend an extra 15 hours with your kids doing one-on-one activities or getting to know them or playing games or having conversations with them. That's 15 hours that you could be studying to take a class to improve your skill set to make more money or get a different job or a better job or another job. So be so real with yourself. Where are you spending your time? How much time are you spending? Like, I tried to get off of social media, but because I'm on social media platforms for multiple businesses, it's hard for me not to be on social media. And my ADD brain, of course, I will log into Instagram with the intent of posting something. And next thing I know, 2 hours have passed and I'm just like, I did zero work. I did not make a reel. I did not post anything, actually. Oops. And now I have to do something else because that was my time. So I get that the social media struggle is real, but if you're taking an honest look at yourself, like, what can you do? So I've made it a point that I don't check my notifications. I will log in and do exactly what I need to do. And then maybe as a reward, if I get that done, so if I've given myself 2 hours to do these things, and I get that done in an hour and a half, then I have 30 minutes that I can scroll and play. So, use social media as a reward. I would do that for the longest time. I would task batch heavily for like 2 or 3 hours. And then I would take a 30-minute break where I would do absolutely nothing productive just to give my brain a break. And that usually involved scrolling endlessly for 30 minutes. Now, I will say that it did come to the point where I had to set a timer because that 30 minutes turned into 3 hours. And I was like, what happened? What? I don't even know. So that's a thing that you need to be careful of because you never know. You never know when that's going to be a problem. And maybe social media isn't a problem for you. Maybe you don't have that problem. Lucky you. And I mean that in the most sincere way. Like, that wasn't condescending at all. But where is your time spent? Do you spend time playing video games instead of spending time with your significant other? Track how much time you're spending. Track your time every day and then add it up at the end of the week. After a week, I want you to see what time you're spending. And again, I'm not saying if you enjoy playing video games and that's your free time, that's your mindless, I'm done working, I'm done thinking, I'm playing video games. I'm not telling you not to do that. I'm just saying if you want to manage your time better, figure out where your time is going. And if you play excessive video games and you're not doing any of the things that you want to do, then it's a problem and then you need to address it. I'm not just coming at you to come at you. I'm trying to be helpful. So before you know how to allocate your time, you need to know what you're spending your time on and where you need to cut back or pay more attention and be more mindful. So that's all I'm getting at. So let's talk about some of the tools. So we've talked about the techniques, mindsets, and things. Some of the tools that are out there, there's a lot of new apps that you can download on your phone that will also help you track your time. And like I say, use an alarm clock or a timer. Like, okay, 2 hours, beep at me. It's time to switch. It's time to do something else. Or 30 minutes and I'm done doing this task or whatever. So just simple tools like your stopwatch, calendar, calculator, alarm clock, things like that. There's an app called Notion, and it's like having a digital notebook, a planner, a project manager, an alarm clock, all of things in your pocket, ways to visualize. It's so convenient. But that's one tool. There's a bunch of different apps. You can look into them and see what works for you and what resonates with you. Like, the best app that you can download is the one that works for you, the one that you're going to use. So I'm not going to tell you use this one over this one. There's so many. But Notion was one of the first ones that I was introduced to. There's an AI app called Motion. It creates the perfect daily schedule based on your priorities. And then if you like something that's a little more gamified, so something that challenges you to do the things like having Duolingo, but for your life, it's Forest, and it helps you stay focused. It helps you stay focused by planting digital trees while you work. I don't know, just something fun. Sometimes that's your thing. So those are a couple of the different apps that are available. there's an app out there that does the Pomodoro technique, which is where you work for 25 minutes and then you break for 5. That was a little too chaotic for me. Like if I get in the deep work zone, if I'm doing something 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours is like my go-to. I can get so much done if I'm like, okay, for 2 hours I'm doing just this and I will do just that and I accomplish it. Then you get that rewarding sense of accomplishment. If you have smaller tasks and things, 25-minute increments might work better for you. Elon Musk plans his day in 5-minute increments, and I think that is absolutely insane. But again, most people might look at my hourly schedule and think I'm crazy that I plan from like 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And so who am I to judge? It just sounds like a lot of work that I'm probably not going to do. But again, whatever works for you, everybody's different. Your focus is different. Your ultradian rhythm is different. And so like I said, whatever works for you is what I'm suggesting and recommending. So let's talk a little bit about metaphysical properties as far as time management goes. And again, as a 6-phase meditation facilitator, I focus heavily on meditation techniques and tools. But when you are trying to get in the flow state, like if I'm doing a big web class or webinar or Zoom meet or anything, even my one-on-one coaching, I try to do a brief meditation where I will tell you to just close your eyes for a moment and take a deep breath in, ground and center yourself where you're at, forget the whole day. When you breathe out, you relax your body, relax your brain, relax everything, be here, be present. Take another deep breath in and breathe out with the sigh sound. Be here, be present, nothing prior to right now, nothing after this. We're here together. And you can open your eyes. And look, and now we're here and now you're focused. You're not thinking about the groceries you have to get, the kids that you need to pick up, the chores that you haven't done yet. You're here. And just that brief 3-breath, eyes closed, grounding meditation is enough to get you to focus on what you're doing when I'm in a web class or training something. So I know meditation is the answer to everything according to some people, and I do think there are just so many different ways to utilize meditation because there's so many different ways to meditate. It's not just sit and clear your thoughts. Sometimes it's thinking something specifically. And when you're basking your tasks, if you do a quick meditation right before you do something and you put it in your head, you know what? We're not going to think about the lunch that we get to eat after this. We're not going to plan what tasks we're doing now. We are focused on this. And you take a deep breath, you close your eyes, you do a quick envisioning of what you're about to do and how it's going to go and how you're going to feel when it's over. And then you do it. And I've noticed personally that it helps me get into the flow state so much more easily than if I just jump from task to task to task. So going from one task to the next, you have to have a break. You have to give your brain a break and a breather. And that's why I would like switch to mindless scrolling or doing something along those lines, because it's a way to give my brain a break from the tasking. So it knows when it's game on and game off. So having that brief meditation before you task batch is going to put your brain in a focus state. And then when you do those tasks, you're going to get in that flow state a lot faster, or at least I do, if we're talking metaphysical. But that's my recommendation for getting into the flow state faster, is to do a brief visualization, meditation, calming, focus, however you want to do it. And if we're talking somewhat metaphysical, let's talk about mindset. Mindset shifts are one of the things I focus on in my life coaching career, because we get so fixated on the way we think about something or how we think about something or the thoughts that we think about something that we don't see any other way. And I know so many people that wake up stressed out. Like they wake up and immediately think of all the things that they have to do, or they make their plans and they do this, and you just stay in this perpetual cycle of stress. And that's not good for many people for the most part. So what do we do about this? You hear about the affirmations, morning meditations, morning affirmations, and saying things like, I have enough time to accomplish all my goals today. And just say that. It puts you in a state of ease. Even if you don't believe it, maybe you say it every day, multiple times a day, and you start to believe it and it starts to happen. And then the more it happens, the more you believe it. And just by saying, I have enough time to accomplish all the tasks I need to do today, maybe say it in a way that flows a little bit better than that. That was rough. But you get the point. You say something to yourself and you say, I'm going to get all of my goals done today. I'm going to achieve everything on my list today. And then you make realistic lists and goals and accomplish them. And then you believe that. And then your brain helps you organize those thoughts because it works with your subconscious on a different level. So when you're telling yourself, I'm going to accomplish these things, your brain starts reorganizing and prioritizing and time managing in the background. You're not cognitively aware that you're doing these things. Your subconscious is doing these things for you to help you get these things done because that's what you told it you were going to do. I don't know if there's any science behind that. I just know that that's a real thing that I have experienced. And so I'm going to share that with you in hopes that you can experience it. And again, this podcast boasts itself on having a splash of metaphysical properties. So there you go. That's it for today. So here's your action plan. Here's some things that you can do. 1, change your mindset. Tell your brain what you're going to do today and see what happens. Just see what happens. Do a meditation before you do your tasks. See what happens. And again, don't just do it once and be like, you're crazy, Layla, this didn't work. No, do it. Do it a bunch. Do it every day for a week. How about all of these things you do every day for a week? These are for the next week. You implement these things. Okay. How about that? These are your action plans for next week. You're going to tell yourself in the morning, you're going to get all your stuff done today. You're going to get all of your tasks done and accomplished. You're going to prioritize your tasks and set batches and blocks to do the things. You are going to look into apps if that's a thing that you want to do. If not, you do you. Like my calendar is my app. My calendar is my Bible. I put everything in there. If we make plans and you don't see me put it on the calendar, we're not doing those plans. I'm not showing up. It's not happening. So that's a secret that you know about me now. That's not really a secret. Everybody knows that my calendar is my Bible. And you're going to start. Yeah, actually, before you do any of those things next week, you're going to start by watching what you spend your time on now. And I observed my time for the first week and was like, okay, here's where I spend my time. Here's where I waste my time. Here's where a majority of my time is going to do all of these things that don't make any sense. So I will reflect every night, okay, where did I waste time? Because I know when I'm spending time on something productive, I'm not, like, good job, gold star, whatever. I don't need that. I need more focus. And where did I waste time? Did I spend 20 minutes in the bathroom on Facebook because I wanted to finish reading this article or because I was engulfed in this drama between these people? Where did I waste my time is a good place to kind of figure out where your attention needs to go. So that was something that I do regularly. I check every day, okay, where could I have improved? What did I do good in? Where can I improve? And what did I waste my time on? And I try not to look at it as a waste of time because everything we do is for a reason, blah, 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 all that other stuff. But where could my time have better been allocated? How about that? We say that instead of wasting time. I like that. So yeah, so the first week, next week, where do you spend your time? Be real with yourself, be realistic, and see what you can implement or change. What are some things that you want to do that you're not doing that you could do instead of the time that you're wasting on things that you don't want to do? Like when you think of that, you spend 2 hours a day or 15 hours a week just scrolling on Facebook or Insta or Snapchat. Like when you think about it, do you really want to do that? Is that really when you're like, I spent 15 hours this week on social media? Yeah. Like if you're excited about that, that's you, do your thing. I'm not judging. I'm not trying to take anything away from you. I'm just saying the majority of people that are spending 2 hours a day on social media regret it. They wish they weren't. They wish they were doing something else. So talking about it and being open and honest about it and being like, yeah, I probably do accumulate about 2 hours every day doing things that I don't want to do. And those 2 hours could have been spent doing something else. It could have been spent meal prepping or making food that I actually enjoy and want to eat instead of the random things that I throw together because I'm trying to eat healthy and I didn't meal prep and I didn't have time. Well, you had 15 hours. You just didn't utilize it properly. So you do have time. You just didn't make time. So I hope I'm not rambling too much about this. I hope you found some kind of value in this. So to recap, like where are you spending your time? Be mindful, be honest, be 100% like accountable to where you're spending your time. Make a plan, task batch, goal set, time block, all the things. Use the apps, use the clocks, whatever you need to do. Change your mindset, do your meditation. Tell yourself a better lie. I know you've heard me say that before. I get this quote from Marissa Peer. I absolutely love it. 90% of your thoughts are recycled thoughts throughout the day. So when you run around, I don't have enough time to do this. I never do this. You're lying. None of that is real. None of that is set in truth. None of that is set in stone. All of that is changeable. So if you say, I do have time to accomplish everything I want to do today, and then you do it. And the more you lie to yourself in a positive way, the more you start to believe the positive lies about yourself, and then the more positive things start happening in your life. It's a weird snowball effect, but in a good way. So that's just kind of a recap of the episode. So I just want to say, if you found value in this, please like, subscribe, comment, share, write a review, do all the things. Follow me on social media, subscribe to my newsletters. I love and appreciate you. I thank you so much for being here today. I wish you the best. So let's go do life efficiently.